Many thanks to Colonel John Flynn, a fellow reservist, and Ms. Krista Kleiner, a very talented entertainer, for agreeing to serve as host for this exciting event and for that kind introduction. Dr. Rober, thank you so much for kicking off what promises to be 3 exciting days of exploration into what it means to be a base of the future. As John and Krista said, I'm Brigadier General Patrice Melançon, Executive Director of the Tyndall Reconstruction Program Management Office, or Tyndall PMO. I'm standing here outside of Hangar 43, the only hangar that survived Hurricane Michael. You might be asking yourself, what exactly does it mean to be a base of the future? Well, it depends on who you ask. There are plenty of aspects that come into play, and I'm going to introduce and talk a little bit about several of them that we're working to bring to bear as we reimagine Tyndall Air Force Base. You'll hear more in-depth discussions of many of these topics as we go through the next 3 days. So, first things first, huge kudos to the AFWERX Innovation Hub for organizing this amazing event and for pivoting to a completely virtual event pretty late in the schedule. If any of you are like me, you've gotten about as much fun out of COVID as you're gonna get. Unfortunately, I think this is the new normal and it's gonna be around for a while. But here we are, and we received about 1,500 submissions across the 6 topic areas. That's about 5 times the number from last year's Fusion event. Way to go, and thank you, industry, for really showing up and bringing your ideas to us. I first crossed paths with the AFWERX team just over a year ago. I want to give a quick shout out to Brian Beam Mao, Vince Swath Pecoraro, and Mark Rocketeer Rowland. They'd taken me and my team under their wing, helped us understand what AFWERX was all about, and helped us figure out what it might mean to be a base of the future. For those of you familiar with the Myers-Briggs type indicator, I am a really big S, meaning I focus on facts. I want to know what expectations are and what my boundaries are. These guys are all huge N's for their focus on intuition. They could care less about boundaries, precedent, or anything else that might limit their imagination, and helped me take off my blinders to look at what's within the realm of the possible. The AFWERX team led a group including Air Force, community, and industry to solidify our topic areas and connect mission owners, subject matter experts or SMEs, and other partners to flesh out the challenges that make up this Fusion event. One topic that comes to mind when you talk about Base of the Future is that of resiliency. Mr. Henderson, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Installations, Environment, and Energy, will be speaking about some of the resiliency lessons we learned as a result of Hurricane Michael after lunch today. We've specifically considered 3 different types of resiliency: climatic, energy, and coastal. With climatic resiliency, we've published installation facility standards that set design flood elevations specific to Tyndall, as well as wind speeds and material codes that enhance the structural durability of our facilities. To set design flood elevations, our subject matter experts considered historic and rainfall projections, as well as industry models predicting sea level rise into the future. As we explored structural considerations, members of the Base Civil Engineer Squadron traveled to Miami-Dade County to discuss their local building codes. Our structural SMEs also consulted the American Society of Civil Engineers Publication 7 that specifies general structural design considerations. As a result, we have specifications tailored to the local area that detail design wind speeds based on building classification and have adopted the best practices from the Florida Building Code High Velocity Hurricane Zone specifications. In the area of energy resiliency, we're exploring a variety of options to include microgrids, self-healing grids, and alternate energy sources, along with the ability to operate connected or disconnected from the local power supply. Because Tyndall's utilities are privatized, we've been working with the Defense Logistics Agency and the system owners to explore what is in the realm of the possible. We've also brought in one of the Department of Energy's labs to help us with some modeling and evaluation of potential solutions. In the area of coastal resiliency, I'm really excited about a series of workshops on this topic held last month with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, NOAA, EPA, Florida DEP, the Nature Conservancy, World Wildlife Fund, and Restore America's Estuaries, to name just a few. There's a lot of interest in piloting a variety of techniques to restore the coastline and bays that surround Tyndall and serve as a natural buffer to storms. Many of the agencies I mentioned are excited to use Tyndall as a proving ground to try out some new techniques that could then be applied across coastlines everywhere. The next topical area I want to focus on is taking advantage of smart technologies. The Air Force Research Lab and the Air Force Civil Engineer Center have already been working with my team to consider ways that we can integrate building sensors and artificial intelligence or machine learning to give us the ability to be much more proactive with our infrastructure maintenance. There's a plethora of sensing capability already available in industry, and it comes pre-installed on mechanical, electrical, and power equipment. These sensors range from sound or vibration signatures that can detect initial failure of a motor and potentially provide initial diagnosis, to leak detection in facilities or the water distribution system. We want to bake in the tools that will allow us to do maintenance at what we're calling the sweet spot, where we can minimize repair costs and actually extend the useful life of our built infrastructure. This condition-based or predictive maintenance strategy has great potential to reduce overall infrastructure maintenance costs and the total cost of ownership of our built infrastructure. While these sensors are a fairly mature technology, the rest of the equation is not. Integration into the IT network, data aggregation, cybersecurity considerations, and then ingestion into artificial intelligence or machine learning are challenges yet to be met in the Air Force. My team is currently working with the Air Force Civil Engineer Center to develop a prototype installation resilience operations center that will enable us to get to that condition-based maintenance strategy for Tyndall initially. Eventually, we'll include data from all of our bases and be able to look at trends across a major command, a particular geography, or the entire installation to help us get after the installation investment strategy that was published in the Air Force in January 2019. The Tyndall PMO is also exploring ways that we can leverage smart technology to assist in perimeter defense and enhance the safety of our people with systems like gunshot detection that provide near real-time immediate information to our law enforcement team. We got tons of submissions related to this topic, and you'll hear more about this kind of technology and innovation in the base defense arena from Ms. Scheppers later today. Another aspect of smart technology is reflected in our new mission set, the F-35 Lightning II. The F-35 is equipped with the ALICE, the Autonomic Logistics Information System. The ALICE serves as the information infrastructure for the F-35, transmitting aircraft health and maintenance information to appropriate users on a globally distributed network. Not only can it provide enterprise-wide trends, but it can also provide real-time feedback while the aircraft is still flying its mission to a technician on the ground related to potential maintenance or checks that might be required when the aircraft does land. This allows the technician to be prepared with the right tools and supplies to immediately address any needs as soon as the plane is back to the hangar. The F-35 is the first system to have sustainment tools engineered in concert with the aircraft for efficiency and cost effectiveness. The ALICE turns data from a myriad of sources into actionable information. This leads directly to increased aircraft availability and increased readiness. The ALICE is just one aspect of the flight line of the future that the Air Force maintenance and logistics communities are working on. Another is the use of augmented or virtual reality glasses that help a technician virtually walk through an engine or landing gear with visuals and prompts from the tech order that pop up in the field of vision to assist in troubleshooting or making a repair. We're also considering the entire supply chain and how we might leverage data and technology to optimize our purchasing, storage, and delivery. Remember that technician in the maintenance hangar who's just gotten an alert from the F-35? Imagine her, or him, taking their tablet and with a few quick taps, they order up whatever tools and supplies are needed. That gets sent to the warehouse, and similar to what happens in Amazon warehouses, a Roomba-looking robot brings the right shelving units to a designated point, and the needed tools and supplies are put on a drone and flown out to the parking spot where the aircraft has just landed. We're not quite there yet, but that is definitely where we're headed. So, how are we going to make all of this amazing tech happen and still be ready to catch our first F-35 in September of 2023? Well, our acquisition professionals are working on more agile contracting and procurement methods. AFWERX has hosted events similar to this Fusion event to attract smaller niche firms who might not typically be attracted to government work, partly because of the bureaucracy. Let's face it, working with the government is not always the easiest. I was very excited to learn that there are a variety of authorities that empower the use of other transaction agreements, or OTAs. While many aren't familiar with OTAs, the underlying concept has been around since the late 50s. Beginning with the NASA Space Act of 1958, OTs have been a tool available to the federal R&D community. DoD was specifically given the authority for research OTs in fiscal year 89 and prototype OTs in fiscal year 94. While OT agreements are not traditional government contracts, they are legal contracts. However, OTs operate outside of the federal acquisition regulations. OTAs were created to give the DoD the flexibility necessary to adopt and incorporate business practices that reflect commercial industry standards and best practices into its award instruments. While there are specific circumstances under which OTAs can be used, they allow DoD access to state-of-the-art technology solutions from a wider net of contractors, utilizing more customized business deals. For Tyndall, AFWERX has posted a commercial solutions opening, also known as a CSO, that acts as the solicitation vehicle for all of the different vendors you'll see throughout the Fusion experience. This CSO solicitation allows for both traditional FAR-based and non-traditional OTA procurement instruments to be awarded. If you represent an office within the government that's interested in some of the technology that you see during Fusion, find your contracting officer, and together you can use this Base of the Future CSO to get after that technology and place it on the appropriate procurement instrument. There is training available from SAF AQC's RapidX contracting team to assist contracting officers in utilizing this CSO so that the right technology solutions find the right government end users, empowering us to deliver an ever-evolving Base of the Future, not just at Tyndall, but across the DoD as a whole. The last part of the Base of the Future that I want to talk about is an aspect that might not be immediately obvious, and that's the aspect of personal resilience. Let's face it, we can have the most resilient infrastructure, tech tools that allow us to be agile, efficient, and effective, and the coolest gadgets. But if we don't have our people, it's all for naught. All that technology is not going to work itself. Thursday afternoon features a keynote from Kevin Hines and a panel led by Rocketeer Mark Rowland to spend some time talking about personal resiliency and holistic well-being. Kevin's keynote will address the issue of ways to thrive after an attempted suicide. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in the military. The Uniformed Services University Center for Deployment Psychology reported that the rate of suicide in the U.S. is 13.3 per 100,000. The DoD reports rates of 20.2 per 100,000 for the active component, 24.7 for the reserves, and 27.1 for the National Guard. Looking at holistic well-being to include physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and social well-being is key to ensuring that all of our teammates are able to perform at their very best for themselves as well as our military. And speaking of people, I've been absolutely blessed with the number of people and organizations who have embraced what we're doing with our work towards defining and building the Base of the Future. As you will realize over the next 3 days, there are so many different aspects of the Base of the Future. Just one group or one specialty can't even begin to pull it all together. We've had amazing support from our local community of Bay County to include the cities of Panama City, Callaway, Parker, Springfield, Panama City Beach, Mexico Beach, and Lynn Haven. So many different organizations within the Air Force: the Air Force Civil Engineer Center, Research Lab, Installation Contracting Center, Security Forces Center, Services Center, and the Life Cycle Management Center. The Corps of Engineers has been a key partner, including the Mobile and Savannah districts, along with the Engineering Research and Development Center, to include its Construction Engineering Research Lab and Coastal and Hydraulics Lab. DoD's Office of Economic Adjustment and the Defense System Information Analysis Center have both participated in some of our brainstorming workshops, and we've had help from 2 of the Department of Energy labs. Some of you know that I'm a quilter, and when I'm not making masks to help family and friends deal with COVID, I really get a lot of joy from selecting a quilt pattern, picking out the different fabrics, and then piecing together something that's more than the sum of its parts. It's been exciting and so very fulfilling to be able to bring all of these different aspects, people and groups together to reimagine Tyndall as a Base of the Future and pave the way for other bases to follow in our footsteps. I hope you enjoy this Fusion event, and thank you so much for doing me the honor of leading us off today.